How sweet it is to be loved. Oh, I lost it. To be loved by you. What is up, nerds? It's me, your buddy pal, HeyArcher. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to HeyArcher Live, your weekly nerdy just shit show of a show where we sit back, relax, and hopefully at the bare minimum, you can pour yourself just a little.
More specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey.
Oh yeah, that's good. I decided to celebrate today. There's not much to celebrate, really. I guess there is. I'm not sure. It wasn't. I didn't think it was enough to merit what I'm drinking, but I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little extra today. So we actually have some Johnny Walker Blue Label, courtesy of my old boss Chris. Got this for me. I just felt like today was a good day to pour some. But you know what? It is a good day. It is a day to celebrate because for those of good taste is in the house. Both parts, Matt and Lenny, not just one. No, we have both. It's gonna be a good time. As always, though, gotta say hello to everybody in the chat. We got Aaron Waller in the house. We got Joel in the house. I saw Anthony in the chat as well. I can't show it on the screen because the intro is playing and it gets all messed up. But believe me, I see you there. We have a fun show today. We're gonna see what the boys have been up to. We're gonna talk some shows. We got some trailers to watch. I know we haven't been doing a lot of trailers. The copyright strikes have not been happening, and I've not been upset about it. But you know what? We're gonna watch a couple trailers, most likely video game trailers. And of course we'll play some either. So before we even continue, say hello to each other in the chat. If you got a YouTube, podcast, whatever you got, throw it in the chat. Support one another. Another. Wow, that's hit me already. And of course, get the tunes going and welcome in our guests. We have Matt. We have Lenny. For those of good taste in the house, fellas, how are you doing?
What up, what up, what up?
Matt,
hey,
how you
what's
doing?
going on?
There you go. There you go.
Oh, he's lagging again. Dude, Steve, I know you've done this 100 times, just in the fact that you hit the little drum roll, like
right on
dude.
on the money.
Incredible.
On the money, yeah.
That was incredible.
It just it's just in there now. It's just in there now. But
Yeah, this guy's production value is incredible.
yeah, no, I got to. So I'm actually moving in the next couple months, so I'm gonna have to figure out like new set, new like look. Internet's gonna have to be as high speed in my new place, so there's a lot to it.
That was a subtle dig at Matt, and that's hilarious, Steve. I love what you just did there, dude.
You know what?
So
ironically, not ironically, there was no pun intended there. I actually just randomly thought that, but it so happens to be
Steve,
what we were talking about before.
That was a little low. Let's try to keep the gloves up for the rest of the show, huh?
That's fair. Hang on, I'm just fixing my camera real quick.
So Steve, when you move, are you gonna be like, are you looking for a place, and are you gonna be like looking at rooms like, hey, how's this gonna be for doing a podcast in it, or YouTube, video?
No, well, great question. So no, the lady and I'm moving into her place, but part of that discussion was, if we're gonna move in this place, I need a designated spot, and if it's going somewhere else, I need a designated spot. So that did come up in conversation.
It's gonna be crazy, like, cause I mean, I've slowly watched your set grow over time, and like to rebuild that, I know has got to be tough.
Yeah. This is. You're gonna say something, Matt?
I don't envy you having to take down all the figurines and putting them back up, buddy. You might want to outsource that to somebody.
Dude, like legit, I have a storage unit full of figures at this point. It's just different action figures, different collectibles. But I mean, Goliath, I think, has to be the one that is on display no matter where I end up. Pride, possession. But
No, it's a nice piece you got there.
yeah. You're like slightly lagged. We keep waiting for you to talk, but it's fine. We'll get through it.
Grinding.
It's like a slow burn.
It is. Well, you know what it is? We can't tell when you're trying to talk or if you're just like waiting for us to say something. You raising your hand?
Okay, yeah.
That's gonna be my
you
cue.
in the back. You in the back, sir. You in the back.
That's hilarious. But I'm so happy to have you both on again. Allegedly you both have been on at the same time on the show before. I still can't remember what show number that was, but I'm happy to have.
Is
you both on.
this like a? There's always a thing with us where there's like a lost file. Maybe this is just another one of those things that. And you asked me earlier if it was live or recorded. I actually don't know. I feel like it was alive.
No, it was live.
You know,
Yeah,
I think,
it was live. We were doing the Would You Rathers and everything else as well.
But you know what? I think one would call that, right, a dark match. Am I correct there?
Yeah. It was a little practice run before we got out in front of the big audience at home.
Only took me 9 minutes this time to get a wrestling reference out there.
Let's keep them coming.
Well, it's been a while since we've had you both on, so why don't you let us know what you guys have been up to, you know, what's going on, tell everybody about your show, the podcast, the whole nine.
Matt, I was waiting.
I think
for
we
you
just
raise
need
your
to
hand.
address the elephant in the room. We've been working through the growing pains of putting together content and developing your channel, man. But we're just over a year in and just enjoying the growing pains, so to speak. But constantly putting out the Good Taste Weekly episodes every week, and we've got some other things down the pipe that just aren't ready to put out yet.
Oh, anything that you can hint at, or
Matt.
I feel like Lenny's getting mad at me already. I feel like I'm getting the no-no look. Stop promoting stuff that's not ready yet.
No, I
That's
think
fair.
the what you come to find is there's always more, right, Steve? So like I remember talking to you like right before I started all this stuff, and it's like, so you do the weekly, and then it's like you know every week the best way to do it is you got to go cut some clips and everything, and I think that's just the next evolution is just being more consistent on that stuff. But yeah, it's a grind, man, but I'm still having fun. I think this last week, because we had that the little rest period there for about a week and a half, we came back guns a-blazing this week. So
yeah, good episode. And for those of you who have not done so already, make sure, sorry, I should have already had this pulled up, but make sure you head over to For Those of Good Taste, give them a subscribe, follow, all that stuff right there for Those of Good Taste. Let's see, my brain is just crapping on itself.
dude, I'm impressed with the alcohol choice, dude. Like, how are you gonna get through this?
I will make it. We always make it, but
He went
actually-
big for us.
I actually had
How many times have you been drinking on here? And like by the end of the hour, you're like, ooh, I might have gone a little too much.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Oh wait, let me.
You don't need to feel obligated to answer that either.
No, I'll put myself in the hot seat there. The last time I remember where I was at that line was when Steve was on the show. Because afterwards, when the show was done, I told him, I was like, dude, I zoned out like the last 5 minutes. Like I was talking to you, forgot we were on the internet, like just gone. And he was like, oh yeah, I was gone like 20 minutes ago. So that's the last time I remember. But it's not very often where I'm like past like that buzz point, I guess.
Well, Steve, I'd like the next time that I'm on here that we should arrange some type of like speed hour, you know, like where like maybe every 5 to 10 minutes we have to take a shot, and I just want to see where that takes us.
That's funny.
It's like going to the desert and doing peyote.
Yeah. Well, I believe if you're doing that, somebody has to almost like be the not sponsor, the guide, right? The sober one to guide you through the trip as it occurs.
Matt,
I'm not signing up to do that at all. Nope. I want to go to the dark places too, man.
Yeah.
Are you just Steve? You afraid that we just never stop hitting record? We just forget that we're out there in the ether. That is the internet.
That's exactly what happens. But like I said, everybody head over, drop a subscribe to them. I saw Know Your Craft dropped on in. Good to see you, brother. And the living legend himself. Oh, I cut it off. Just Samson in the house. Good to see you. It's been a long time.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
So, two things came up as I was watching this week's episode. One was by doing this, pulling up the page to see the videos. The other one was actually because of something Anthony has been telling me to watch. So the first thing I want to say or ask, non-spoiler, so no spoilers on this, Halloween Kills. Did we actually like it or no? Because I gotta admit, I skipped most of that episode because there was things there I was like, oh, I don't want to know anything about. But it's been so long already. I'm like, if you can give me a spoiler-free thought of Halloween Kills, I'd appreciate it.
Spoiler-free. So I'd be lying if I said upon first viewing in the movie theater, which I think is your most like honest, like true way to grade it. I didn't leave as happy or satisfied as I left the first one.
Okay. Which I was there with you for.
Yes. Yeah. And I was in like bliss when I walked out of that movie theater that day. I loved it. It was like a return to form. And this one, it builds on it in some ways. And upon watching it a few more times, I think I've come away from it a little more optimistic for the future, knowing that there's going to be another movie and knowing the direction they're going to take that. It's passable. It's definitely not the best, but it's not anywhere near the worst of this franchise. So.
And Matt, did you check it out or you passed on it?
No, I had the chance to check it out, and we had a really interesting conversation where I kind of feel like Lenny hyped it up a little bit too much for me, where he just said he wasn't going to give it a bad review. Right. So I went into it like, okay, I'm just not going to give this thing a bad review. But overall, I enjoyed the film. Was a little bit more gore than I expected, but I'm never going to complain when you get some creative kills from Michael Myers. No, man, you said that Michael Myers is a constructive killer, and I just saw gore, so...
There is honestly in that movie though, like one of my favorite all-time Michael Myers kills in that movie. So for that reason, Steve, I think that alone is a reason to go check that movie out. It's just like one kill in particular that is perfect.
All right, I will do that just for that reason alone.
Also, if I keep looking down, it's because my dog just keeps poking me in the leg to play with her this entire time.
If she needs to be on camera, by all means, bring Bailey on camera.
Steve, you saw the issue I had just getting this camera lined up. So
That's
if I
fair.
move this to try and get her up here, it's not
done
going
deal.
back.
Yeah, it's done deal.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
There's never a week where Bailey doesn't try to get it on the episode.
There you go.
Star of the show. Maybe she's stats guy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Bailey.
That's the new Big Ange.
The mystery's out there.
Yeah.
Well, see, you think that's young Ange. Stats guy is not young Ange. Like,
what?
We've just got I know this is like a big theory out there.
Is the Jamie reveal about to happen right now?
No. The secret is not out. my friends, but Stats Guy is he's Stats Guy, man. He's a fucking asshole, quite frankly. I mean, you watch Weekly, Steve, you know he's an asshole.
Yeah. I'm not sure what Stat Guy does.
Yeah,
he fucking nothing.
We're looking to
dude.
fill reliability. We're looking to fill reliability, and young Ange unfortunately just doesn't fit the bill on that one. But Stats Guy, you know, he's had a rough couple weeks, but I think in the end he's gonna make a good investment.
We're hard on him, but it's like, you know, you have to build a callus, you know. That's what we're doing.
You do. And it's funny because you guys have a big TV. In case some of you don't know, there's a big TV they have on the side wall. Like that would be for Stats Guy to like put whatever you're talking about. Like if you're like, oh, I wish I knew what this was, on the TV, so then the audience can see that.
Doesn't know how to use the TV. Archer.
Has no clue how to screen mirror. It's insane. He just holds his
I
phone
get a
up.
lot of crap
Literally,
for not
he just
being
holds
able
his
to
phone up in the
internet.
corner.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you guys ever go down the road of making merch, Stat Guy needs a shirt. And I think at this point, you should never say who Stat Guy is.
Maybe there's a chance you never know.
Anyway,
it's the one thing to keep coming back for is the great mystery as to who Stat Guy might be.
because it may not even be a guy for all we know. That's the thing. It's just a mystery.
And maybe at some point down the line we put like a blurred face over it that you can see, but it's just a blurred face.
It could be the Wilson thing, like in Home Improvement.
Oh, see, we're gonna give half.
We're gonna start doing the witness protection program dark screen in the background with just a robot voice.
Exact. I was about to say that robot voice stat.
Dude, when is somebody gonna like bring back the Wilson thing, but only show the bottom half of the face?
That'd be awesome.
I don't know how you pull it off, but that's what I want to see next.
That would be.
Actually, I take it back because that's gonna turn into a glory hole thing, like super cool.
Yeah.
Which happens to be Lenny's favorite subject.
Yeah.
So we can do a whole 10-minute bit on glory holes if we want.
Well, I mean, you're talking about bits. One of the best things, and again, I will, for all of you watching, I'm going to talk about things, assuming you've all watched their show. And if you've not, you need to correct that and go watch their show. Because I think...
That'd be a great place to start.
I think one of the best things mentioned this week that could legit be a bit is making up names for people who were the first to do something. Like the first person who was like, if I suck an udder on a cow, I can get milk out of this thing that I can drink. Who is that person?
These are the discussions that aren't talked about enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like we think it's just normal that people just drink milk from this animal, but it's like there had to be one guy who's just had one too many, got stuck under a cow, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna have some fun with these.
Yeah.
And the very first great thing about it, the great thing about it is even when I come up with one that I might actually be able to look up, we're just learning, man. It's like, who was the first guy to get in a barrel and go over Niagara Falls? I'm sure that's something I can Google, but until then, it was Tom from Facebook.
But was it even, you mean Tom from MySpace?
Shit, you're right. They're owned by the same parent company. Meta.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. But
no shameless plugs, dude. Come on.
Yeah. But
actually, can I take that back? Doesn't Justin Timberlake still own MySpace?
He became a partner with MySpace because he was like, "Oh, this is going to be the new like music-based social media platform." No.
That was the best part about MySpace, quite honestly.
I mean,
being able to put like your song on your homepage.
It just got annoying because, you know, I think you and I, Matt, I assume you are too, we could be real music snobs sometime. And you go on that MySpace page and somebody's got that shitty song and you're just like, God damn it. Like your whole opinion of somebody changes because this is what you chose for your first impression on your MySpace page. You chose freaking Down with the Sickness again. Like how many times?
You talk about Dana White.
It's a lot better than Breaking the Habit.
Yeah, hey, leave Linkin Park out of this.
Dude, you know what I think the actual issue is that MySpace wouldn't have played on cell phones because it's kind of the same issue I have with like TikTok. Like you try to open TikTok when you're in public and that shit just starts playing like super loud. I hate that. Like imagine like you go onto MySpace and your cell phone and like for a quick second and Down with the Sickness, it's just like wah! Just starts fucking screaming out the phone at you.
Yeah. I bet you at some point Down with the Sickness was like Joel Rayberg's favorite song. I'm just gonna say that out right now. He knows it's true. Doing martial arts, listening to Down with the Sickness. And yeah, Scooby Life. Well, yes, Samson's talking to Scooby, but I'm glad both of you are here. So, fellas, the second thing I wanted to ask you guys about, because Anthony has been telling me to watch this for a long time, and I finally did, and I was surprised. I didn't watch the whole thing, just I'm only one episode in, but I'm surprised that neither of you have talked about this, at least as far as I remember. Lois and Superman on CW. Have you guys watched it? What are your thoughts?
I have not, but I've heard it's very good.
Yeah. And I was shocked because I'm like, you're Mr. CW. Like you watch mostly everything on there, good or bad.
See, that's a common misconception.
Really?
Steve. People tend to think that Lenny's only really been on one show, and then he was on, The Flash for about a half a season before you realized that it was just Barry Allen needing to run faster.
Yeah, well, I was gonna. So I literally just tried to watch Flash very recently, and it's a bad show, man.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it, dude. And I caught a clip. It was on like Twitter or something recently. It was literally just a scene from like the most recent season, and it's exactly that. It's like the Flash running through the city. Then there's the other Flash that's with him now, and then behind him was 4 white Flashes like running behind him, and then they flash back to like the office, and it's that doctor who is also like, isn't he a Flash?
Yeah, Earbod Thawne.
Yeah, that guy.
Ichabod.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. It's not good. So yeah, I think I'm really only an Arrow fan. I'm excited though for the Apocalypse crossover that they're doing. Right? Is that what it is?
I think so.
But wait, so Lois and Clark, so you are a fan. It lived up.
First episode in, I gotta say, like, I was impressed because you know what it is. This is a similar conversation to me to the Snyderverse stuff, where there's a stench on all the DC things that it's like, if anything looks like it could be related to Snyderverse, like, you're kind of hesitant to go into it. And with this, it being on CW, I was like, I know what this is. I know where it's gonna go. I know how it's gonna be filmed, all sorts of things. And first episode in, I was like, I forgot I was watching a CW show. It felt more in line with, more so away from that. Like Stargirl, which I always plug. Stargirl
you love that one, right?
Yeah, it's very close to being a CW show. Like, as you watch it, you could get that vibe, but it's not as cheesy, I feel like, at times. But this one was even further from that. Like, I was watching it and I was like, I just forgot. I was like, oh, this is a show that actually was originally on CW, not an HBO or not a DC Universe show that they ported over. So, give it a watch.
Yeah, it always kind of felt like the DC shows on CW kind of were able to set themselves apart from the other shenanigans that DC was getting into. But aside from Archer and the first couple seasons of Flash, a lot of the Superman stuff kind of just left a bad taste in my mouth. So it made it difficult for me to jump on board with any of that. But if you're telling me it's good, I may just have to jump back on board.
Now, can you confirm something for me? Is that Tyler Hoechlin? Is that who plays Superman in that? Clark? I don't know if you don't know the answer, that's fine. I'm pretty sure I'm right. But I like him. So that's kind of been the one thing.
Do you see how he does that though? Did you see how he asked the question and he was like, you can confirm if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Yeah, this is the type of shit that we need feedback on, so he knows just a bunch of dick he's being.
Why? Because I did know that I was right, and I just wanted to make it seem like I didn't know.
No, but
why would I know who this guy is?
It's
look at that second
picture.
picture.
From the left.
Yeah, there's no shame in my game.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah. It's
damn.
So on Rambling with Anthony, we actually were talking about the show, and he was like, and you know what? Dude took his shirt off, and he's actually ripped. And I pulled up the picture, or like the scene from the show when he takes his shirt off, and I was like, the dude's actually ripped. Like, it didn't seem like you think he's wearing a bodysuit, but he's not.
Yeah, he's on that Kamal and Johnny diet, man. He looks fantastic.
Do you guys ever look at somebody and you're like, fuck, we're the same age?
All right. You know, going back to that real quick.
I thought I thought that question was going somewhere else. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Took it to a weird place.
I legit was just bothered by the fact that I'm actually older than he is.
Yeah,
And I was like,
that,
oh, fuck.
I was looking at that guy and I was like, dude, I am gonna look older than this man by like 20 years forever.
Yeah, I thought he was at least like in his 40s watching the show, but no.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely
There's no
not.
way you look that good and you're happy.
If you guys want to do a couple, we can just talk Teen Wolf. That's where he came from. That's why I know.
That's why I knew that. You know what? I didn't want to bring it up. But I was like, he's probably gonna know him from some teeny bopper garbage show, and that's what it was.
Teen Wolf, baby. Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah. But
haters. You're both haters, by the way.
because you know, like, you talked about this at some point. You're like, you have no shame in like loving like rom-coms and all that stuff. And I'm with you on the rom-coms. Like, there's plenty of like chick flick shows and movies that I'm like, yeah, like this is entertaining. It's for everybody. Things like Teen Wolf and Riverdale, I can't help you on that.
Riverdale, I still have done the same thing I always do. I watched one season, I didn't watch it again. But Teen Wolf, I will just point out, while it's the action and everything is like really, really bad, I don't disagree with you. I like it in the same way I liked like True Blood, because it's not afraid to go like really like over the edge, like sci-fi, which impressed me for a show that's on MTV and that was supposed to be based on like the furry guy from the 1980s. But if you want to sell for the podcast for FTWGT Weekly, it's that I first started this and I was like, you know, I'm going to be a little reserved on really putting my weirdness out there. And what you just slowly have found is I'm literally nuts. Yeah. So
yeah, you don't.
And I watch the most embarrassing things possible. I don't even like. I'm still not scratching the whole surface either.
Well, you even made the comment, and Matt was making fun of you for it, where you're like, I don't watch anything bad. Like, I'll never give a bad review because I know better than to watch anything that's bad.
It's one of the most shitty characteristics of a human being, where he will just say the most obnoxious shit and be like, nah, man, I don't watch bad TV. Oh, but hey, dude, I just spent my last 6 weeks catching up on Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
What?
All right.
A
Number one nationally syndicated TV show. What are you guys talking about? That's not bad, dude. Launched the career of James
episode,
Vanderbeek.
Last
episode, he compared the face of Frankie Edgar to a character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this is a person I work with, man.
Oh my God, R.I.P. Frankie Edgar. That's oh man, that hurt.
See, this is the
For
issue.
Anybody who hasn't
He's
seen
gonna be
that.
on Frankie Edgar's going to be like the Undertaker, because he's just got to keep chasing it, because you can't go out like that. Like,
yeah,
that's a tough way.
So I was going to comment real quick before we continue on that, because I would love to talk about that. Anthony's comment right there, I had no idea.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's wild.
Damn.
That's hilarious.
No one would have thought he would have been hot when he grew up.
But you know what's also crazy is looking at this picture, like ballpark, that's how old we were when this movie came out. Like I don't remember being a kid when this movie came out. Like I remember being younger, but like
Did you
So you're saying we all could have been
remember
jacked.
seeing this?
I don't even remember the plot. I don't remember any part of it.
Yeah, like I don't really remember even like I know the movie, but it seems a little too serious for what I would have been watching. Actually, I don't watch serious stuff now either, right? So
Because you don't watch bad things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on a shirt.
You should. I think
I
you
don't
should.
watch bad things. Can't give bad ratings. I don't watch bad things.
Well, I'm gonna immediately correct you on that and say you do watch bad things. But
He does.
first of all, there it is. It's fucked up.
Oh, Bro.
Steve, that's not a bad pull for that being the first time that I've really seen that picture.
That's a really good find. That's a really good find. I was gonna say,
But the fact is, Archer, is that it's so abstract. Like no one
obscure.
in the history of For Those with Good Taste is going to be able to tell you who the hell that character was.
No.
But that's the person that we compared him to. That's what
Yeah.
we do.
Well, what I was gonna say is you do watch Bad Things because you've been watching the UFC religiously for the last like 2 years when it's been absolute
Shots fired.
trash. But I think this weekend may have been the first time in 2 years I regretted missing a card.
Matt, do you want to start this off?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think Archer has been obnoxiously bashing the UFC for the last decade and won't admit that he secretly pirates all of their fights.
Sorry, I'm not Dana White. I don't pirate any fights.
No?
That's hilarious.
They myself.
No, I will say I'm pretty confident Steve just doesn't watch.
No. I think I've said
No,
it.
so I can understand that.
Well, it's a two-parter, right? I think I talked about it with you guys last time, and Lenny when you came over just before COVID hit. Like my internal battle is a two-part one. It's paying the $60. Well, now it's like $60 or $70. But also like giving
69.
There you go. Like
Sorry.
we all remember when it was like
Never
$40.
miss an opportunity.
Yeah. There you go. But also it's a combo of the price tag and I'm like, okay, I'm giving up 2.5 hours for potentially like snooze fest. Like I have fallen asleep countless times to UFC fights because it's 1:30 in the morning. I've already been drinking bourbon the entire time. Like I'm just gone. And I think the combo of the two is what has forced me out of watching on a regular basis.
So I think the issue here, though, Steven, like where I don't necessarily agree is like, I think it is unfair to say, I think there's personal bias in what you're saying to say it hasn't been good. Because while I do agree that Dana White, for instance, is an asshole,
yeah,
the product itself and the fights that have been being put on have been very good, I think, at least through the entirety of the COVID period.
That's fair.
The cards they were putting on when no other sports were happening.
Yeah.
They've been doing 2 to 3 title fights on every card. I said the other day, like, dude, within the past 2 weeks, like 3 weeks, you've had 2 marquee events. One that had like Nick Diaz nowhere close to the main event, and then you had Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler kick this card off. So
yeah,
they're beating the boxing layout by, I think, booking pretty deep cards that are fun. I do agree that we are screwed by the East Coast time zone, and that's what makes it really difficult for us because I think you would love MMA if you were on the West Coast. Like it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
You could sit down and have a dinner, watch a few fights, and then 10:30 wind down and be ready to fall asleep. And instead, we're grinding at 1 o'clock in the morning to make it through. I've been there many a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stole my argument, Len. I think just being a victim of the East Coast and having to deal with most of those main event fights hitting after 11 o'clock, it's going to be a bit tougher to hang through some of those wrestling fights that tend to happen. But,
yeah,
we saw an instant classic with Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje, one that was only a 3-round fight. Easily, had that gone to 5 rounds, could have been fight of the year. I think it still is a candidate. But, they've put on some tremendous cards, and I would say the times where you're looking at how many cards have actually how many fights on those cards have knocked it out of the park, they've done really well.
Yeah, I'm running into I think with everything that's going on in WWE with Vince McMahon, like I think Dana White, like I think part of my hatred for him also just, and hatred's a strong word, but it keeps me away from it as well. Cause I'm like, every time that charge hits my card, like Dana's getting a piece. And like, I'm like, cause Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler is the one on of every fight on this card. That was the one I was looking forward to the most because I was just like, I never want to miss a chance to see somebody starch somebody from another organization who comes in and is like, oh, I'm the great, even though they're both from other organizations. But there's also something about Michael Chandler's face where I just want to see him get punched in. And I was like, I missed it out of just a distaste for Dana.
Well, let's be honest here. Well, allegedly, I'm not saying that $70 necessarily consistently maybe comes out of my wallet. Like if that was like the entry fee for me to be a fan of MMA, I don't think I could do it. And honestly, there are months where I think about buying it. But the ESPN Plus membership is what turns me off to the whole thing too.
Yes. No,
And
the fact
I
that you need
also-
that. Like you need that in conjunction to paying the pay-per-view cost. I was like, if there's a discount and it's like, all right, that $70 turns into $50 even because you're paying ESPN, even, you get the bundle, ESPN, Hulu, Disney, like something. But no, I need that plus then I got to pay the pay-per-view.
Steve, I think at its core, it's like it makes it difficult for you to actually care or give a shit about the fighters. Shout out to Know Your Craft. He said, aside from Frankie Edgar, he's looking at that card and he doesn't really see any names that he knows.
Yeah.
That's a common thing now with the UFC and even boxing. Boxing just had one of its biggest events of the year last weekend.
Yeah.
With Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant. You ask 9 people out of 10 how many knew that the fight was happening or how many actually watched it. Those numbers are going to be low. And with the UFC, they just do a terrible job at building you into the life or into the career of the fighter to actually care and want to spend that $69-$70.
Yeah.
But when you do look at the product that's on hand, you are seeing some really good cards. And to Lenny's point, we may not always be putting the dime down for it to watch it, but the product is there. It's just unfortunate that the UFC hasn't done enough to really get the people invested.
And that's what made them great, though. Like, that's the wild part about it is the formula. Like, they wrote the formula. Like, by having the Ultimate Fighter, they were so hungry. Dana was so hungry at that point to pitch this wild idea that they were like, this is it. Like, everything's riding on this. The point of entry for UFC was $0. Like, you needed just a cable subscription. You were in it, and then they're like, hey, these people you were following for 6 to 8 weeks that you are really invested in. Now you got to pay to watch that last final point. And they don't do that anymore. Like, I got to pay every time or sit through an entire, pay-per-view card to, like, no random person's going to sit down and just watch an entire free UFC card on ESPN for no reason. Like, you need to somehow attract them in, and they're not doing that anymore. To me,
I think in the general public, they're more popular than they've ever been, to be fair to them.
Outside
and
of
what I was
McGregor, I mean, people still think Ronda fights at this point.
I mean, if you look, I'm sure this pay-per-view this weekend is still going to do 500,000 buys, which is pretty good in the modern era of today where pirating is such a huge deal. Mm-hmm. The other thing I was going to kind of mention to piggyback off of like what Matt said and what Know Your Craft said was the thing about the UFC now that I think is a little different is it's more similar to what other sports are in a way that like most people don't watch a football game and know every single person who's on the team. They know the stars that are on that team. You don't know all the offensive linemen. You don't know the special teams players, Not everything's like basketball where there's 5 players on each team that really like are your starting 5 and you're going to know all of them. Mm. And you also, so I think that is something to keep in mind there is you're going to grow over time to know these guys. But I use like Kazmat Chimaev. I just realized this yesterday, he has 3 million followers on Instagram.
They're all Russian bots.
Yeah. But like that's like significant for a guy who didn't start fighting in the UFC until a year ago. I would say the sport still does have that drive behind it. It's up to these fighters now to embrace more of the publicity and the public figure that they are, but they don't have to do it the McGregor way. I think that's played at this point. I think Colby has a unique spin on it and it's done well for him. It's not for everybody. But there are guys that are breaking through. Paddy Pimblett is a guy who's breaking through. There's some guys out there.
Yeah, it's tough. I think, don't get me wrong, there are those stars that break through, but like everybody knew Chuck Liddell, like everybody knew Randy Couture. Well, people who are into sports. Like they
But
knew
because
who they.
but because of those guys, everybody wants to do it now. Like that's at that point it wasn't popular yet. Like it
Right.
wasn't for something that like because of Chuck Liddell, because of Forrest Griffin, like the bubble burst. And you know what? Now like you are going to have such a wide variety of people, but the cream always rises to the top.
Cream rises.
And realistically, no matter how you were watching this, there's a paywall. Like it's not like, I mean, I guess it was on Fox for a little bit, so you could have had an antenna and caught that every now and again. And but like if it was on Spike when we were before, you had to pay to have Spike as a channel. It's always been behind a paywall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Spike TV got #MeToo before Me Too was a thing.
The Man Show, though, huh? Like
the Man Show.
Yeah, am I right?
Yeah. So I guess just so it doesn't become a full MMA show, I'll try to segue real quick. But I do have to ask this question: what happens to Frankie Edgar now?
I think he should retire.
Yeah.
That would be the obvious choice, is for him to retire, but I think we all know that Frankie Edgar's probably going to be lined up for maybe 1 or 2 more fights. Like Lenny said, you really can't see him going out on a note like he just did. It'd be pretty tough for him to wrap his career around that.
If he wants to fight guys just outside of the top 15 for a while, and he'll win those. I just don't think that you can put him in there with anybody who's top 15 at this point, and he's gonna have a chance to beat anybody, but I just can't see it happening. And that's even for the matter of like, it's easy to say, oh, like just let him go to Bellator and he'll go like rejuvenate his career. But even when you go to Bellator now, like the top 5 or 6 guys in those divisions could be a lot of the UFC fighters on any night. And that goes back to like the whole. I know there's a lot of fighters out there, so it's hard to keep up, but that's because there's so many good fighters right now.
Yeah. No, for sure. And you know what's even wild thing about Frankie, like, so Joel used to train at Renzo Gracie in New York, which is Frankie Edgar's jiu-jitsu gym, as you guys know. And even combining that thought with the other thought of seeing Frankie Edgar on MTV True Life, I Want to Be a Cage Fighter, I'm like, my man's got miles on him. Like, he's got a lot of miles on him, and you just kind of forget. It just kind of slips through.
Archer, if you go back 7-8 years ago when he was going to war with Gray Maynard, who was easily 30 pounds heavier than him on fight night.
Yeah.
And just going to war and coming away with wins and draws. Like, Frankie's always seemed to be the smaller guy. And we made a joke about this on our show, where it's incredible to think the longevity that he's had when you think that he's always fighting somebody who's 15, 20, 30 pounds heavier than he is. It's pretty incredible. You hope that he can come away with a win to cap the career.
Yeah, for sure. I did want to talk some superhero stuff, but before we do that, I figure we'll watch a trailer. There was, and you guys are more so gamers than I am. And there was the trailer that dropped for Spider-Man's reveal in the Avengers game. Have either of you played this game?
Matt has.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
It's actually pretty decent. My issue with any of like the Avengers game, and they also did one 2 years ago, where it was more of like an old school Nintendo MMORPG, where it just gets pretty button mashy at the end of the day, and it gets tough to kind of really invest your time in a game like that.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what Spider-Man brings to this, and then we'll talk about just Marvel in general. Spider-Man, No Way Home. Hopefully Spider-Ham's in it, since I'm talking about Ham.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
That's sick.
We'll check out this trailer, see if it gets us more excited for Spider-Ham or Spider-Man, and we'll go from there. So putting you guys on mute just so I can change my settings and get this rolling.
Please help us!
Got us alive! Let's see. Dozen of them,
one of me.
What's that? Someone there?
Just another day being Spider-Man. Nice try. Come over here. Really use some cover.
Heads up.
Whoa! Holy fire! That was close.
With the
You guys look great. I'm just saying. You look great.
Looks like I got some friends too. Avengers, assemble. Bad guy, scatter.
Couldn't have put it better myself, buddy.
What can you see? Keep moving, guys. Keep moving. Come on, let's go. This way.
Kamala, put her there. Woo! Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
There's a certain charm to one Peter Parker. What do you guys think?
I don't know if it does it for me, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It's funny. Don't you think that like superhero should play like very well in the video game space?
You would think so. You would think so.
It's not worked for me since like the N64.
That's a
Like
long
I
time.
loved Spider-Man on the N64, but I can't say that I didn't like the most recent PlayStation release. I haven't liked a video game, like superhero video game, in a very long time, unless you guys can pull one that I'm not thinking of.
I liked the.
I mean, a game that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Archie.
No, you good.
No, what I was going to say was the issue with these games, and I'll reference the Arkham Knight and Arkham Asylum games, is that it's very jump across the screen, punch everybody in the face, beat everybody up, and it's fun for a few minutes. But aside from the graphics that look great, in the Spider-Man games, you really just have these awesome moments where you're slinging through the city and everything looks great. But aside from that, the storyline and the overall gameplay ends up being the same for every mission, and there's not too many things that are really challenging. So when you look at the Batman games and the Spider-Man games, I don't see much of a difference, and I don't see a lot of progression from the games that came out maybe 5 or 8 years ago.
Well, I was going to mention the Arkham games for sure. But with those, although could be repetitive, I think the story was a major part in getting through those games. But I was thinking back to Marvel's Ultimate Alliance game. I think I showed it on here once. Let me see if I can find the trailer for you. It's the one
I thought
where
that's what Matt was bringing up earlier, was Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I was talking about 2 years ago. If I'm not mistaken, it came out maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
no, did it come?
So there's a couple iterations of that game now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was one that was not too long ago. I'm talking about the old one.
Yeah, you're talking about the
Oh, you're
OG,
talking
which I guess
old.
was like a good one. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think the one positive I was going to bring up with this game is I think if you have 4 friends to play, and it's like, maybe it's just that like these types of games are built for when we would have sat in our like house together with our friends and played
Yes.
games, not like
Yeah.
for me hopping online and playing them.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And that's the other, it's an old man thing to say of like, oh, back in my day, but I feel like there's a charm to, you having to go out of your way to get to a friend's house and hoping that either they had, depending on what system you're on, if you're on a PlayStation, there was that adapter you needed to have 4 controllers, or N64, you at least brought your extra controller to your friend's house, or you had the extra Xboxes to LAN party. Like there was a charm to that. And those games, to your point, better played with other people in the room trying to to get through it.
Yeah, I would ask you the question, Archie. Is there anything that from that trailer that makes you want to, spend the money on this aside from anything else?
No. I mean, when it started, I actually thought it was the newer games, because the Hive Warriors, whatever, looked like something out of the recent games. So I was like, oh, is this an expansion to that I just didn't catch? So nothing about it is different. And I think now with the Spider-Man games, my biggest issue is he's so weightless. Like he's jumping around and zipping so fast across the screen. I can't even follow what I'm doing as I'm playing the game. Like I'm just, like you said, you're button mashing. You're just doing things.
I wanna get back to the point at some point where we can where you actually do hang out with your friends and play video games in person again, because I feel like there's so many things, so many games that are just missed now because of that. I used to love every year buying the WWE game just to play Royal Rumbles.
Yes.
Even I own a Switch, and I own a Switch primarily just because all the games on that console are fun when you have friends that come over. Like Mario Party, Mario Kart, they only put out two kinds of games, Mario and Zelda. But they both play very well with friends.
Yeah. I downloaded, they came out with a Power Ranger side-scrolling game.
It was it was really good, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, this would be way better if somebody else was in the room and we were playing this.
Played it. We played a 3-player run of it. We got through a few levels together. It was a lot of fun.
There you go. Yeah. So, it's still doable. But yeah, I don't know. The superhero game, it's a tough one. It's sometimes a tough one to really make unique after a certain point. Because it's you play the Spider-Man games and you're going from one part of the city to the other part of the city. And it's you got to stop 5 purse snatchers as you make it to that other mission, or 3 bank robberies. It's just the same thing over and over. I don't know.
I saw Know Your Craft just said all those games kind of built on each other to get us to PS4.
Yeah.
And I guess my question to that is is that a good thing though? I mean, because are we ever going to recapture Modern Warfare 2, party chat, pre-lobby chats and stuff like that, whether it was toxic or not? You're never going to recapture that the same way you're not going to recapture sitting with your friends playing Mario Kart or whatever it was 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago now. I just don't think you get the same thing. I'll bring up Battlefield comes up in a couple weeks, and I'm going to try the game. I'm going to get it. But all these games tout themselves now as you're in a lobby with 150 people. But what's the point in doing and there's no way to theoretically do it properly, so I understand why it is the way it is, but you do a team deathmatch and there's no way to organize any type of strategy because you can't talk to 75 people at once. So they put you in a group of 4 people and have you just talk to them, but there's no way to have 4 people make a real impact in a 75-person team that's an 150-person battle royal. So you end up just running for a few feet. Maybe you get killed, you respawn somewhere, you run back out, and I just find the experience isn't the same anymore. That's not what I remember from all those games that built up to this point,
Yeah. The last game I remember having a lot of fun playing online, and then we'll talk about this topic because you guys talked about it this week on your show. Star Wars. Oh, there goes my camera.
Lost it.
It's just dude, the friction.
Steve,
just
imagine
gave
if that
off.
thing just kept falling, dude. We would have had a crazy view there. I mean, I would have felt terrible for you. I don't want to put that mojo in the air. But
no.
Our view would have been nuts.
Yeah. I was gonna say the what do you call it? Star Wars. I unplugged my own headphones, but I assume I'm still talking. Star Wars Battlefront 2 on Xbox was the last good one.
I assume I'm still talking.
Was I still audible? You still heard me?
No, you definitely were. But it was the fact that you were I assume I'm still talking. Yeah, you definitely are, man.
You can probably confirm that.
Yeah. So Star Wars Battlefront 2 was my last favorite online multiplayer experience because you were just I again, I may have talked about it on the show before, but you know, you choose to fight on Endor, you're doing that, and then your buddy is like, hey, I'm in a star battle in space, and you're like, oh, cool, and you leave your fight to jump in a ship to go into outer space to fight, you know, starfighter ships, and then board a ship. And like, that was my last like true love of online play. That aside, I have not. I dabbled in UFC, I think, but to your point, Lenny, there are people who just practice that daily and just start you.
No, it just feels like we should be a lot further with online gaming than we actually are. Like, online gaming's been a thing for like 10 or 15 years, and we can't get the experience that Lenny's talking about, right? Where you have a lobby of 100 people. I feel like it kind of should be like whoever's close to you in close proximity, maybe you can get on the same frequency with them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about like the gaming experience of Battlefront, go ahead, Len.
No, Matt, that's a great point, because what I was gonna say real quick was like one of the better evolutions I think that video games have had is like a game like DayZ. You walk around to like when you talk open world, it's like truly open world, and you come across people in that world, and as you get close to them, you can talk to them. That would be tough if you're in like a group of 100 people standing around you still, but I think that is one of the cooler evolutions in gaming.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I just think we're a little bit limited. We're just limited by what's always been done, I guess you could say, that they haven't really taken us too further than what we've already been able to do.
Yeah. Well, on the Star Wars kick, as we make it to the end of this episode, it just flew by, which is always wild to me how fast the show goes when you have guests on the show. Book of Boba Fett. You've still not seen Mandalorian, and that bothers me. And
he's a piece of shit. Sorry, I'm gonna say this right now.
Do you care to weigh in? What should I watch, The Mandalorian or the Book of Fight?
All right. So here's the thing, right? As I know you openly mock us with Star Wars,
because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. In theory, you have to watch The Mandalorian to watch Book of Boba. But I mean, not really. At the end of the day, you know he's there, so he was introduced in The Mandalorian. However, I just feel like I want people to go out of their way to watch non-Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars stuff, because we need more of this Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau Star Wars stuff, because it's so much better than everything else we're getting. So if for nothing else, to give it the view, I mean, The Mandalorian killed it, so it's not like a ride or dying on one, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah, no, we don't need him, bro.
Yeah, but just do it. Just watch it.
You don't need me, but you want me.
Exactly.
I mean, I show up once a week to be in a small room with you. Obviously, I want to.
I don't know, man. It's for some reason I just can't get I'm sure it's good. And if I had to choose, I'm probably leaning towards Mandalorian right now.
That's the shit I'm talking about, Steve. When he says things like, I'm sure it's good, it's a real slick way of him being like, no, I'm sure billions of people have like corroborated your story that it's really good, but I would rather go wank to Dawson's Creek real quick.
I mean, all right.
What's the new Dawson's Creek?
I have to, all right. On that point, I will have to kind of defend Lenny on something, because I'm currently trying my best to make it through Harry Potter, and it's just not happening. Like, it's not happening. And I'm like, is this a 15-year or 12-year like joke that everybody's playing on me? Because I'm trying my best and I just can't get into it. Trying my best.
It probably comes back to the same thing when you get down to it, is like there's no nostalgic attachment that you have to it. And I don't know that those are a franchise that you can watch with no, although it's tough because like I'm sure people saw it when they're like 30, when they were our age, when it came out and enjoyed it. But you're part of like the fever pitch at that point, right? You're part of the uptick. Like remember how it was with like Game of Thrones towards the end, even the first few seasons of like The Walking Dead. Everybody in the world will watch something because they don't want to be left out of the cause. But like once you've already missed the wave, it's really tough to hop on. And I just traditionally don't really want to be on the wave either. So like, it's tough.
Well,
he hangs out in the pond. He doesn't like waves at all. This guy watched Game of Thrones as they were wrapping up season 7.
I mean,
have you guys?
No, go ahead.
You guys really should go because mine was going to have nothing to do with this.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to ask you guys to recommend the show for everybody in the chat to check out. And I was going to say yours, to ride the wave would probably be that freaking show about the surfers and the buried treasure on Netflix thing.
Dude, fuck yeah.
Whoa,
fuck yeah.
don't knock Outer Banks, dude.
Outer Banks, there you go.
Dude, if you don't watch Outer Banks, quite frankly, you're wrong. Like, you're just wrong. It doesn't make sense. And that's an instance of me not riding the wave. I created the wave.
Mm.
And I would second that. And that's the thing. Our channel's probably named for those with good taste for a reason. If you don't watch Outer Banks, you just don't have good taste, and therefore we don't want you on our show anyway.
Well, I'll accept anybody, so that is a 50-50 thing on our podcast, but that's the great part of that.
I want you guys, and I commented on your video, I want you guys to do episode by episode reviews of Outer Banks, because I'm telling you, that's an untapped market. Much like I did the Working Moms. I did 3 reviews of Working Moms. Some of the higher watched videos on this channel, sadly. And the only reason I stopped was I had no interest in to continue on the show. But you guys generally liked Outer Banks, and I don't think there are a lot of Outer Banks episode by episode reviews.
I think one thing to add to earlier what we were talking about as far as growth within the podcast, I think a very untapped thing for Matt and myself is being able to like do what we're doing right now with you. We don't take advantage of just using a computer and the internet to do our show. We always try to do it live, and I think there's like a certain aesthetic to doing it live that we both really appreciate, and we can just bounce off each other, and the chemistry is really nice, right? And that should always be a part of the show. But I think that is definitely an evolution in like utilizing more of this platform, and to do something like to your point, Outer Banks.
Yeah, when we talk about the growing pains that we've kind of gone through these last couple of weeks and months as we're trying to navigate how to knock it out of the park on all aspects, it's been tough. When you put that idea in our head to focus in on Outer Banks, it was a no-brainer for us, but then it begs the question, how do we do that? And I know something that's been tough for us is just pulling the trigger on certain things, getting out of the planning phase. And it's a work in progress, but it's definitely something that we want to get into.
Yeah.
Because the greatest thing about being able to do this like on here is even on like a UFC front, it is just being able to be more in the moment on some of these, because it is it's tough to not just strike when the iron's hot, to when people are actually out searching for those things.
Yeah. No, and that's 100% accurate. I mean, a lot of times you need to your point earlier, catch that wave. You gotta make the video on the topic that is hot at the moment, and people are searching for it. But something that I was telling Aaron Waller as he does his videos. Yeah. I mean, I mean, love you, Aaron. I don't know anybody who grinds harder on YouTube at the moment than Aaron Waller.
Dude, and I loved revisiting Harry Potter. Just
yeah,
it was great, man.
Yeah. I mean, he is simultaneously on 2 different channels pumping out videos. And the point I was going to make was, when it comes to, let me just make sure I type it correct. There it is. When it comes to his revisiting series, like I was telling him, like, you just make them on characters, and then, if that character ends up in a movie or a TV show or whatever it is, when people search it, hopefully your video comes up. And I mean, even his history of Eros, 1,300 people watched that one.
That's dope.
Yeah. So like, it's just keep with the Outer Banks thing. Like I say, you just make them, and then that new season comes out. People search Outer Banks on YouTube. Yeah, maybe your video is months old, years old, but if you're the only ones on the block doing it, it still gets you to the show.
Not too long ago, or actually a long time ago now, me and Matt also did put a teaser out there for another rewatch that we're still. We had actually recorded stuff just to let that out. We had recorded stuff for our X-Men Exploration series.
Yeah.
I don't think it met like what me. It was a hard concept for us to really iron out. We had some really good stuff in there, but
yeah, I was gonna say, don't be modest, Len. We put together a couple hours worth of content that just didn't really meet the standard that we were hoping to set for ourselves.
And that's a tough one. That the revisiting old stuff, Aaron will tell you, it's probably a tough one to pull, because you're like talking about something that in theory isn't relevant at the moment, but
well, and two things I appreciate. First of all, the thing I appreciate about what Aaron can do is I think we struggle a lot with keeping a time frame. And when you can keep those videos around 10 minutes, I think that goes a long way to getting people to click on it. So like, I respect that he can take an hour and a half and condense it down into that time frame. And I don't think he really misses anything.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I think one of the struggles that we had with that series is like, how do you, when you have that much to pull from, where do you draw the line? Like, how small and detailed do you go? Do you look at like one episode? Do you look at a whole season? Like, how do you approach it in a way that like it those were the logistical things I think that were still a holdout for us. Yeah.
What was funny though, when you guys did your revisiting series, at the same time, Black Nerd Comedy did I rewatched Batman the Animated Series. And he talks about like how he, what he thought episode by episode. And I was like, this was one of those moments where I was like, okay, is this the Truman Show or there's subliminal messages out there where one person does something, but then somebody else is doing the exact same thing that yet I don't remember seeing a TV commercial for the animated series. I don't remember seeing a push online for it, but yet different content creators at the same exact time made videos on the same exact topic. I was like, this is just like some trippy shit.
Maybe it's just that X-Men transcend that TV show in particular, like I think transcends the ages.
Yeah, it does. Well, we've gone into OT. We've gone into extra rounds. And I appreciate you both for coming on, joining the show. And again, for all the new people who jumped in the chat, here's your time. There it is. It finally, I think the glass is empty. It finally hit.
Caught up to you.
Caught up.
That blue label, baby.
Plug your shit.
Yeah, give a like, a follow, and a subscribe down below.
There you go.
Yeah, hit us at the YouTube channel at For Those With Good Taste. You can find us on Instagram at For Those With Good Taste. We've got a guy killing it on Twitter over there. You can catch us at Good Taste Live. But then we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Deezers, Deez Nuts. We're all over the place, baby.
I was waiting for it.
You didn't let me jump in on that, dude.
No, I took it.
Damn.
That's funny. Yeah, everybody, do yourselves a favor. Head over to For Those With Good Taste. They make awesome content. I will say real quick, yes, you should do the videos from your respective houses if that does help you get more videos out. That would be...
I gotta get more better Wi-Fi, baby.
If people could let us know if I should make the poster more visible when we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, your head should be transparent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a legendary poster.
Which, there we go. Yeah,
you gotta,
just do it like this from now on.
You gotta do like my boy Eugene S. Robinson, man. You gotta have the poster right behind you, and have it fall down randomly, and you take a shot every time the poster falls.
I could do it like Ariel and be like, they pissed me off and I'm taking them off the wall, right?
Yes. Oh, my good buddy Ariel Hawani. Gotta love it.
Kielwani, baby.
There you go. Like, comment, subscribe for those of good taste. HeyArcher, nerd affiliated, all that stuff. But hey, you know what? Scooby Life for you. I'm gonna disco out. Hopefully Lenny and Matt can disco with me as we plug everybody else in the chat. General Kenobi's Bunker, subscribe over there. Aaron Waller, make sure you subscribe over there. Know Your Craft, make sure you subscribe. I gotta switch hands because I'm righty, not lefty. Know Your Craft, subscribe over there. Sleeping Collectibles was in here. I saw him before. I saw the Samson was in here. Anthony was in here. K-Walk Comedy was in here. That's all we got, I think. That's all the content. But you know what? Plug your shit in the chat post. I've gone over time on this outro. So with that, ladies and gents, ladies and nerds, there's no ladies here most likely, but just in case they pop
I
in
saw
there.
one. I saw one.
Yeah. We'll talk to you in the next video. Peace. We're still on there. There you go. I see us at the bottom there. I'll shut us off.
Oh, we're gone.
Good thing I